Number one, abide in God's word. We've been talking about this for a while, that I implore you, one of the best ways we can grow in Jesus is to abide in God's word. In John 15, that'll come back again as the branches abide in the vine. So we are to be connected and to abide in God's word with Jesus. And we say we don't just read God's word just to check it off a list, but we read God's word to meet with Jesus. We want to start our days in God's word, to journal our prayers. We talk about the power of gratitude. I just can't encourage you enough. Start your days before opening up, social media or your email or any of that stuff. Open God's word. As a parent, maybe, invite your kids in, try to wake up before them. And then as they wake up, hey, you don't want to come? We've been trying to do this with Josh and Becca, and it's hard, and they don't want to often, but sometimes they will. They'll choose to grab their Bibles and sit down next to us. And I think it's great to be an example, but also to invite them into that. And say, come on, let's abide in God's word. But we need to obey God's word as his Talmudim, as his disciples, as his followers. So much of the Western church, we are educated beyond our level of obedience. It's not just about knowing it, it's about doing it. If we don't actually put God's word into practice, it doesn't do us any good. It's just like someone said, the one who doesn't read has no advantage of the one who can't read. The one who doesn't obey what God's word says has no advantage over those who have never heard it and can't put it into practice. And so we need to obey God's word. And then we open ourselves up to God's truth, to allow him to come in and change it. See, Jesus is a gentleman, and he won't heal what we won't reveal to him. Until we're willing to open ourselves up and reveal all those places, the little nooks and crannies of our heart that have darkness in them, until we're willing to his light to shine in, he's not going to kick that door down. And so part of this process is abiding in God's word, obeying it, and then you open yourselves up to allow Jesus to do the deep work of changing and cleansing our hearts, our minds, our souls. It's going to take work.